Thanks very much for tuning back into the video this week. It's a slightly different video. In part, it's a talking head video, but also in the background, there is also an instructional video going on at the same time. So hopefully it all makes sense because it is connected, or it's connected in my head anyway. With the camera, the X-T5 being damaged a couple of weeks ago there beyond repair, which I now have, and I'm filming on it just now, and I'll talk a tiny bit more about that at the end of the video. I'm one of these people, which I'm sure a lot of you are as well, that I need to be doing something. I mean from the point of view that I need to be creative. My mood is affected by creativity. If I'm not being creative, my mood lowers. Now that's just the way I am. As I said in a previous video, I recognise that. My mood lowers if I'm not being creative. And with the title of the video, Are You a Restless Creative? What it actually is, and I'm going to make a point right now to say that this is not a label. It's just the term that I've come up with for what it is. It's no way a label, so I'm not doing that or putting that out there to be a label in any way at all. But what it is, it's basically when you need to be creative. There's an underlying urge that you have to be creative. Even when you're procrastinating, it has to be something that you are doing or learning or gaining knowledge in. There has to be something there. Now, what happens is, with a restless creative, is ideas are there all the time, or 90% of the time ideas are there, and you need to manifest them. And it's not where you need to manifest one, that never gets finished, and you move to another and that never gets finished. You actually have to see it through to completion, even if it is a failure. And that failure is a learning curve. Now that applies to photography, that applies to everything in life really. So it's one of these things it's not worth beating yourself up about. If something fails, it fails, you've learned from it, you know one way that it doesn't work. So hopefully you'll see the relatability here. When the camera was gone and I was working and also needing to be creative at the same time, what I decided to do was to build one of these, whatever side the screen it's going to be on, and paint it, because it's still being creative in some form. Now, it's not going to be a model making video before you think that. It's based on the photography, and the reason I'm building this is to film using a lens that I have. I think I mentioned that in one of the other videos, but it's to build the entire diorama for footage that I can film with this certain type of lens I have, because I feel that would be perfect for it. So I built one, and then I built another, and I then started editing them, and I really enjoyed it. At the same time as I was doing that, there was other ideas jumping in my head, and I'm thinking, how could I turn this into a video? How would this be an interesting video to watch? So as all this is going on in the background that you'll see just now, I decided, let's see if we can do a cartoon for this, because again, it's learning, it's being creative. So I started a cartoon video. Didn't like the effect of it, so I dumped that one really, really quickly. But how this relates to a lot of people is the fact that it can alter your mood. It can alter your mood dramatically. With these ideas that I mentioned that are coming to you all the time, you think, oh, I want to do this, or I want to take this photograph, or I want to do a series of photographs like this, or I want to do that. Well, I've got one planned in Iceland. Hopefully it's going to happen next year, but it's not photographing the main points in Iceland. It's something else that the idea's been there since our last visit in Iceland, and I want to get back and I want to just focus on this. I want to avoid all the beauty spots and all the tourist spots and go to these. There's something there that I think would make a nice series of pictures. Again, that's another one of these creative ideas that are jumping in. Another thing that's going on for next week that I'm hoping the video will be A, B or C. I've got 3 ideas for that. So hopefully this is relatable to you, because you've got so many ideas in your head that you want to come to fruition, that you do get the restlessness. And that restlessness is the propulsion for your creation. Whether that's editing, photographing, creating the models, whatever that is, that's one of these things that the restlessness of that creativity builds within you. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but a lot of people just get a linear approach to A, B and C, with A being the idea, B being the effort put into the idea, C being the result. If you're a restless creative, however, A will be the idea, the concept. The rest of the letters in the alphabet will be the effort. Z will be the result. And as I said, even if that's a failure, it's still fun going that way. Mind maps for creative people, if you've ever seen them, are something to behold. That restlessness is a good thing. And it's a good thing as long as you are not striving for perfection. Because that striving is the perfection. You will get nothing. Nothing is ever perfect. You know, when you take a photograph, you get to the end and you go, right, next time I'm doing that, I am doing ABC. Or I wish I had, or this, or something else. Nothing is ever perfect. We can always improve in everything that we do. When it comes to, I'm going to keep repeating this, being a restless creative, even when I'm doing this video just now, and although I'm looking around, there's nothing much around me here. There's a Stormtrooper helmet, Mandalorian helmet and lenses and everything. Although my main focus is on hopefully getting this across without it being too much of a mess, I'm thinking about, right, what can I do with this lens? What can I do with that? So it's nothing more than allowing your creativity to flourish. And that's one of the things that hopefully I can get across in this video. Let your creativity flourish, whatever it is. If you hit a fail with what you've done, that's perfect. And that is perfect. Although I said nothing's perfect at all. But that learning curve is there to create the propulsion for you to move on again. And move on again and again. Now, there is a darker side to restless creativity, and that can come in the form of anxiety and in some cases even depression. But being able to recognise that that is where it stems from is a good thing. Now, that is really is a good thing. But I'm not going to dwell on that because it's not for me to even talk about that kind of thing. So, getting back onto a kind of lighter note with it. In the background of this video, you'll have noticed there is something going on with a build, and the build being those models. Now, the build of those models was propelled simply because the camera was gone, and I needed to do something. Now, there is plenty other things that I can do. I was working. We've got new students coming in. We're preparing the books for them. I had work for F-stoppers to do. So that's all going on. But at the same time, I still needed to be creating for me. And that's one of the things that I did. And that propelled me again onto creating the second one, which isn't finished. And then after taking the photographs and editing them, they're not good enough. They're nowhere near good enough. But at the same time, it propelled me onto something else. And I'm going to take these on location somewhere and shoot them because I want to see how that goes. Because, to be honest, it's a case of failure. And the realisation that I'm not afraid to fail. I never was, but you're always hesitant of sharing failures. Now, those images that I've put on the screen just now, These are failures, and I do not like them one bit. Now, everyone's slightly apprehensive about failure, and they're also more apprehensive about failure and sharing that failure. I think I'm at the stage now where failure's a part of learning, and if you can share your failures for other people to see, it's going to save them go down the same route, or they're going to recognise, okay, before I do this any further, this is going to go wrong. I've seen such and such doing it, and I've seen such and such doing this as well. It goes wrong here, stop. Let's go down a different path, or let's try something different. So failing at something is actually a good thing. And a good thing to learn is not being afraid of failure. And that's what it comes into, again, Restless Creative. Not being afraid to fail. Even if you think that you need to be perfect in everything, the act of trying and failing is the perfect place to be, because you'll learn from that. Hopefully something there has resonated with you and you think, oh, right, okay, that's why I'm crab it when I'm not doing stuff, or that's why. It's nothing, it's not a label, as I say. It is nothing, but it's been able to recognise. I recognised it years ago and I never ever put a title on it. It's just the more and more I read about it that I realised that that's what it is. It's just restless creativity. That's all it is. And it can, as I say, it can manifest in many different forms, but it's always there. It's always turning over in you. Always turning over in you. Go on holiday, SDR. Go to sleep at night before you fall asleep. Oh, I'll do this in the morning, or I'll do things like that. And it's just a fun place to be as well. It's a fun place to be. Anyway, I needed that out of my system. So hopefully, perhaps it's answered a couple of questions for you, or you've already fallen asleep and the next video is playing, whoever that is. So thanks anyway for trying to tune in. I'd also like to thank you for the comments I received in the last video. I'm now filming on the XT5, the new one that I got through, and I've been out shooting with it as well. And I'm shooting with it came with the 18-55 f2.8 to f4 lens, and that's classed as a kit lens, I think, and I'm going to do that. It's classed as a kit lens. I've downloaded some images that I took recently with it, as in the past week, and this is a great lens. It's one that I might actually review for myself, because it's actually a really good lens. All the images I've seen so far have actually worked really well with it. But that's it. Thank you for the comments for last week's video, and I apologise that I haven't had time to get back to everyone, but I've tried to answer as many as I can, and I'll go back in and I'll read more. I understand as well if it's not an isolated incident. I knew that anyway, but I just thought I would share it with you. But so hopefully that everyone that commented that had a mishap with their camera, lenses, filters, hopefully that's all resolved now and you're back out shooting, or you've resolved it a while ago and it's just one of these things. Thanks again for watching. I hope the video made sense. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.